Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only Mexi here once again, and I am back once again for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong 64 for the Nintendo 64. So, last time, we've essentially manage able to beat the first boss in the game, known as Armadillo, as Donkey Kong. And on top of that, we've pretty much almost done with the forms of everything in terms of the forms of Jungle Japes by, you know, collecting stuff. And on top of that, we did somehow manage able to explore through Angry Aztec for not only collecting some more collectibles, but also we somehow rescued Tiny Kong. And today for this video is the fact that we're going to be continuing things on in the forms of Angry Aztec by simply able to actually now to somehow rescue the fourth character, and that's what appears to be Lanky Kong. So yeah, by simply just go ahead and swim from here. And of course we do need Donkey Kong for this, because obviously there's a coconut switch that we do need able to bring out the coconut shooter. And from here we can able to actually not only get the next golden banana, but also rescue Lanky Kong as well. So yeah, for Lanky Kong though, that he's going to be able to only collect the blue bananas. So yeah, this is going to be maddening, especially noticeable if we somehow managed able to actually access to every playable character in the game. This is what the forms of how the fact that the backtracking aspects will come into play. So I'm sure that, oh, speaking of such though, there's a banana balloon right there. So we'll be back for that eventually though. So in some cases though, yeah, we can now able to actually select Lanky Kong now. So in some cases though, although we still need able to actually grind for more of those banana coins for not only for certain characters, but also say applies to the forms of Lanky Kong as well. So either way though, that's going to be a, you know, arduous task for able to actually do multiple collectathons or anything else like that, which either way, that might be something else entirely. So anyways though, so let's just go ahead and switch over to Lanky Kong here. Now, apparently though, about the fact of the matter is though, we don't seem to able to actually stumble across Squawks the Parrot just yet though, because I'm pretty sure we're still in a temple basically. So in some cases though, yeah, let me just go ahead and swim back around for it, or perhaps even maybe I can probably save that during the forms of the later time, just because about the fact that, well, first of all, there's the not only #1 pad, but also the blue bunch of bananas as Lanky Kong. And I believe we've only got about one more playable character left until we're able to actually start to be doing, you know, multitasking when it comes to, like, you know, collectathon marathons or anything else like that. So, and that will be until when it gets to the point until the third world in the game, which I'm sure enough that might be seems the case. So anyways though, today's day is of course the 9th of January today, in this case in 2023 today. So remember when I mentioned this before, ever since in the last video, that apparently we're getting ourselves the next tour for Mario Kart Tour, which it turns out that my predictions are correct, because not only does it bring back not only Rainbow Road from Mario Kart Wii, but also they decided able to bring in not one, not two, but 3 different variants of certain characters, ranging from Toad, alongside with the forms of Toadette, and also say applies with another color variant of, well, Pit Crew Toad. So in some cases though, it's the fact that, well, I'll point it out whenever we get to that particular topic though, because as you can tell, we're now going to be going back to the outside portion of Angry Aztec. So just to ensure that we will able to actually get some more bananas as Lanky Kong for the sake of the forms to try to collect everything. So, oh, and also another thing too, about the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that, well, there was actually that particular point where, at this point in time, is the fact that, well, luckily we did somehow manage to get ourselves some 5 banana blue coins as Lanky Kong, so that way we can able to actually access to Grape Shooter. So pretty cool for that particular weapon for Lanky Kong in mind, especially about the fact that, well, obviously we actually got weapons for, you know, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Tiny Kong, and Lanky Kong, so there's only one weapon left. So that won't be until for later. So from here we can able to now shoot grapes. So yeah, it seems kind of interesting for this particular weapon choice. So Anyway, so let's go ahead and go through, like, vine to vine, so just to ensure that we don't get hit by, you know, quicksand as far as this is concerned. So, but I digress. So let's activate portal number 5. So, and sure enough, though, that we will be able to actually start collecting some more bananas before we take on the next boss. So, but I digress. So yeah, let's talk about the forms of that specific tour that we're actually going to be entering into at some point in this Wednesday. That, of course, is known as the Space Tour, which is pretty much exactly the same name as the forms of how it does it. About the fact of the matter is, though, is the fact that the last time we actually had the Space Tour name was actually back in 2021. I'm pretty sure that seems the case. And I do apologize if my comment take is a little bit, tongue-twisting fest kind of filtering. Well, that's only mainly because I was trying to say something, but apparently my tongue just keeps on twisting sometimes as soon as I try to speak, so... Anyway, so let's go and switch over to Donkey Kong quickly. Because obviously, as you can see, more banana coins that we can able to collect, alongside with some more bananas here now too. So, but that's not the reason why we're able to actually, like, although we will be back for able to actually select Donkey Kong and doing that oh, son of a... Okay, whatever. Yeah, sometimes certain cramp traps, they manage able to come up as like this every time if you manage able to knock him out at first, but then they sure enough though just turn into like a Jaws counterpart of it. But anyways though, so let's go ahead and get into this special barrel that features Donkey Kong's icon. So this means, about the fact the matter is though, that is when the invincibility thing comes into play, because in order able to actually access that particular cave as we've opened up for about the last video ago, that basically we can able to actually walk through this quicksand, and sure enough we're able to actually get ourselves a banana medal for Donkey Kong, and on top of that there's actually a banana balloon that I think it only requires Diddy Kong for it, and on top of that there's a bonus barrel which actually features a golden banana icon. Meaning that every nowadays is the fact that we have to go through a serious amount of challenges. So, Stealthy Snoop is the first of one of those challenges we need to go through. And basically in this challenge right here is the fact that it's pretty simple when you get the hang of it though. Especially all you have to really do here is just make your way to the very end of this particular obstacle, or this challenge. Because otherwise, as you can tell, we need to avoid these searchlights. And because of that, if you get caught, you're pretty much done. And on top of that, well, thankfully there's an option you can able to retry that challenge anytime you wanted to. So that might actually be coming very handy as far as, you know, if you're having struggling with certain challenges. Certain challenges like that are pretty easy and self-explanatory, but however though, there are certain challenges I found as a bit of a pain in the backside in order able to deal with these kind of stuff. And believe me, there might actually consistently about the fact that, well, for certain mini-games, they will get repeated more often, which as a result though, that might actually give us a bit of repetition sometimes. But either way though, you see why into whenever we get to the third world and beyond, so... Anyway, so now we switch over to Tiny Kong to able to not only get some more banana coins, but also a banana bunch, and I think that's as far as I can think about it. Well, apart from the fact that, well, we do need to able to come across into our next challenge we need to go into by, if we get into this tag barrel, if we can. And from here, we now need to switch over to Diddy Kong, because of not only for certain bananas we need to get, but also about the fact the matter is though, as soon as we're able to actually get to this point right here, basically, remember the forms of that Chimpy charge that we've already learned ever since in Jungle Japes? Well, that's what these little Cinnaball stuff comes into play, or even specifically those silhouettes of Diddy Kong's face will come into play. So basically we have to charge at these things for about 4 times, and then basically if you do something like that, then basically the temple itself will be awakened, and not only that, I get the strong sense of feeling they might actually get, like, well, what else? Another golden banana. So, but how'd you get up there exactly? Well, you can't do the quickest way by simply trying to able to climb up for the sake of the forms of trying to able to go through one section to the other of the tower, or the temple rather. But there's also a proper way you can able to actually do this kind of stuff, and wow, I just realized sometimes certain characters doesn't seem able to go in a 360 turnaround, but either way though, it might take me a bit of some time to get used to sometimes. So anyways, let's grab some more bananas as Diddy Kong. And sure enough though, yeah, I somehow failed that. But that's okay, because I can just simply go ahead and find the special barrel for him. Because after all, we've already learned the next ability for Diddy Kong. So in some cases though, I think we should probably just risk ourselves by walking through those quicksand, despite the fact that I was able to get hit quite a few times. But only for about 3 chunks of my health, so... Anyways though, so let's just go ahead and hop into this Diddy Kong's barrel. And from here, this is where we get ourselves the Rocket Barrel Pack. So in some cases though, all you really do for this point right there is to simply fly yourselves all the way to this golden banana right there. But there's also another challenge where basically we do need able to, you know, just go for that particular portion where, oh, by the way, down there, it will be important until for later, because obviously about the fact that, well, I think we should probably save that particular section for later, because obviously we need to take care of the forms of self-explanatory stuff here and there, but, anywho though, so, yeah, about the fact of the matter is though, with the Mario Kart Tour Space Tour that we're about to be entering into at some point this Wednesday, like I said before, that, in terms of the forms of trying to bring back the, Satellaview, outfit for the likes of Mario, but also they managed to bring in a Blue Toad Astronaut outfit, and on top of that, Toadette, Astronaut outfit also makes an appearance as well. And also there's going to be another color variation of Toad's Pit Crew, except this time it's all in pink instead of the forms of, I almost first thought it was going to be purple though, but it turns out it was pink. So, relatively speaking though, I don't know if it seems to be regular Toad or Toadette at first, but then I do found out it's just Toad's Pit Crew outfit, so... But anyway though, and speaking of the forms of color or purple, that the Mii racing suit is also getting its recolored treatment for its racing suit, and this time it appears to be by the forms of the purple outfit. So yeah, that might be seems the case for the sake of the forms of how this is going. And also, this particular challenge right there, or this task rather, it does kind of reminds me of trying to able to like not only feed blue eggs at the forms of one of those Spanx's mouth or something like that in Banjo-Kazooie, but also it does remind me of one of those similar challenges as the forms of, you know, Mumbles Mountain, when if you're trying to able to shoot blue eggs in one of those Titan poles or anything else like that. That's basically though, in this particular section right there, as you see, basically we need to use Diddy Kong for this. You can either decide able to do the hard way by simply using the rocket barrels, or you can do the easy way like I just did right there, by simply able to stand on the plum tree, and from here I can just simply somehow manage to able to get the best accurate shots for able to actually shoot those peanuts right at the forms of that feed me Titan pole. So yeah, pretty swell I have to say, especially considering about the fact that, wow, I just found this to be an easier method to able to actually get to that point, so... But I digress. So yeah, let's just go ahead and teleport from number 4 to the other number 4 panel. So just to ensure that we're not necessarily done with the actual rocket barrel segments just yet, because, well, before we get into the forms of the main temple, which is of course, you know how the fact that we're now able to actually access to those different switches depending on what conjuring you're going to be using. But either way, let's just go ahead and just go for this little sun center thing right here, which, taking a notice from the likes of going for the star on top of the actual Christmas tree, from the likes of Banjo-Kazooie and FreeZZ Peak. So basically, if you go for that 3 times, then we're able to meet up with the forms of that particular vulture right there. So... and something tells me about the fact that this vulture is going to be up for the challenge, I see. Whilst luckily though, assuming about the fact that if you somehow managed able to use the invincibility thing for Donkey Kong and the rocket barrel with Diddy Kong, that as you notice is the fact that the crystal coconuts can able to actually cause a limit. So in some cases though, every time if you use one, or to use these special abilities, the crystal coconuts will be decreasing. So, yeah, that might be something that's more accurately, limitations, I guess. And honestly have no idea why I'm going. But, luckily though, if we did somehow wander it off like nothing else, basically this vulture is trying to tell us that, well, we can simply just try again, which thankfully we somehow teleported from here automatically. So, yeah, and this is one of those challenges about the fact that we need to go through rings. So, oh gee, that sounds familiar. But anyway, in this challenge, all you have to really do is just fly through rings, and basically though, as you can see, we actually do have infinite amounts of those crystal coconuts, in case if you're about to mess up. So in some cases though, that'll be handy though, especially that I feel like that most of the time for certain ring challenges like this one, alongside with this next one coming up, that I feel like that certain hitboxes can be a bit fickle at points. But either way though, let's just go ahead and not only just able to get ourselves another banana bunch as Diddy Kong, so hopefully we're able to actually get this challenge done before I don't mess up quite a few times. But then if you do somehow manage to able to win through all of those rings, basically the golden banana is now yours to obtain, rather. And again, that particular objective for able to fly through rings does sound familiar. If for those you ever played, you know, Superman 64, which despite the fact that between this game, alongside with Superman 64, that those two games combined did somehow came out in 1999, so because of that, well, personally speaking though, I think Donkey Kong 64 managed able to handle things a lot more manageable, and especially noticeable as one of the greatest games in 1999, while usually for Superman 64 is consider this to be one of the worst games ever, so, which is understandably so. But anyways, now we're done with that, and now let's go ahead and tackle for those, one of the 5 sections in that particular temple over there. So first of all, we'll go ahead and tackle through Diddy Kong's first, so just to ensure about the fact that we can able to get him, sort things out, and, you know what I mean. So, but I digress. So, anyway, the next thing I want to mention, in terms of the forms of something else entirely, is the fact that, relatively speaking, that I've actually got myself quite a number of items in the past few days. Like, for instance, about the fact that, well, during the forms of by the end of 2022, which I suppose I totally forgot to mention about this, I recently managed able to get myself not 1, but 2 DVDs as well. So in some cases, one of them is a Disney film, and another one is a DreamWorks movie, because, well, I just feel like trying to able to give those films a shot. So, for instance, in the Disney movies department, I've got myself Robin Hood, and also, in terms of DreamWorks though, I've got myself Spirit, which, you know, with the fact that with the non-talking horse during that particular movie and stuff like that, with all those amazing set pieces. But anyway, before we get to more details onto that though, get out. Oh god, we have to hurry up, because otherwise, out of nowhere, for that mysterious voice, that they did say about the fact that it tells me to get out. And then basically, it's all about just trying to able to escape. But if you don't make it out in time, I believe you do somehow die or something, so... But anyway though, because the reason why we somehow came back in here, because now the timer is no longer there, so in some cases, that we can able to actually revisit certain rooms if you're liking, so... And also in each and every single room does manage to contain a golden bananas within each and every single Kong. So for instance, Diddy Kong is actually pretty self-explanatory, just got to able to find the correct path, and basically that's all you have to do, and then just obtain a golden banana, so... But anyway, and there's also another thing I actually got recently, and that is the fact that, well, it's usually a digital, purchase for my liking, which thankfully, because of the forms of how the fact that you know how Nintendo Switch loves to able to do the forms of certain percentage off for its price amount for certain titles, Well, luckily, I did somehow manage able to, well, you remember with the falsified fact that back in 2019, that we did originally do have the PlayStation 4 version of Disney classic games, featuring Aladdin and the Lion King? Well, it turns out about the fact that that's the reason why we no longer have the PlayStation 4 version of that particular compilation game. Although nothing wrong or anything like that, aside from the absence of the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin. But thankfully though, is the fact that I somehow managed to get that compilation on the digital version on the Nintendo Switch version. Because originally, I was expecting to try to get myself the original cartridge version of it, or to be more specifically, the original cartridge versions of the Mega Drive versions of Aladdin and the Lion King, respectively. Although, thankfully though, about the fact the matter is though, it actually cost about 10 quid, thanks to the forms of the actual sales bargain, which, well, I'm referring to as the forms of the Nintendo Switch version, most likely, because I was originally trying to able to get myself the entire collection featuring the Jungle Book, alongside with the bundle with the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin, but thankfully there's a DLC, you know, for a separate purchase, which I'm about to try to get that, maybe at some point later on today, so just to ensure I can able to get my purchase done and over with before anything else happens, you know? And also just trying to able to save up for certain stuff like, you know, Tears of the Kingdom, alongside with the forms of other games coming out for it, but either way, we'll still see what happens in later down the road, throughout the majority of the year, so... But I digress. So, another thing I would like to mention is the fact that there was actually the forms of a bit of a short segment in terms of the Pokemon anime series called, let's just say Pokemon aim to be... Actually, I don't know what it's called now. Oh, there we go. It did say about the fact that in the Pokemon anime short segment, before we dive right into Generation 9 anime, that's what appears to be by the forms of Pokemon aim to be a Pokemon Master. So in some cases though, I think it's gonna be releasing in Japan though, on this coming Friday, in this case Friday the 13th of January. Oh god, that reminds me, it's gonna be the unlucky day, isn't it? Alongside with the forms of whenever I do somehow manage able to check on something on my calendar, and it did say about the fact that not only do we get one of those unlucky Friday the 13th days, but, well, not only one of them from the likes of in January, but also the ones in October as well, so, yep, that's saying something, alright? Anyway, so there's another, golden banana barrel, but before we dive right into that, I need to double check what's beyond here, just to ensure about the fact that there are certain stuff I was missing, and it doesn't seem like it aside from, you know, exploding oranges, and alongside with the forms of more crystal coconuts, so nothing too important around here, aside from this particular bonus barrel we can able to hop into, and that will lead us to the next minigame challenge, Big Bug Bash. So basically all we have to do is basically we need to able to just swat at the flies, and it's pretty simple. You still have to able to actually hit 4 of them, but then eventually later on though it gets a bit tough and a lot more aggressive at points. And in fact that this particular minigame challenge does remind me whenever you do manage to able to activate something hidden in Mario Paint, alongside with the forms of before Super Mario Maker was a thing as well. So relatively speaking, you still have to able to kill all these flies with the actual like a swoop net, and basically that's what you do. So self-explanatory. But I digress. But of course, since we got ourselves the golden banana, so this means we need to get out again, except this time with Lanky Kong. So seriously, I just love that pretty much a satisfying, creepy voice, but every time whenever you obtain a golden banana, it just goes like, get out, and stuff like that, which I found is a little bit more weird, and also creepy at the same time, but, it knows what it is, I guess. But thankfully, the actual travel thing isn't all that too far from here, I don't think, so... But I digress, so... I suppose I should probably also mention about this as well, is the fact that I believe we've only got about 11 days to go until Fire Emblem Engage for the Nintendo Switch will be releasing. So because of that, now for what I've heard about the forms of the technical props to the forms of Fire Emblem Engage, is the fact that some people seem to say that they did say about the fact that with the performance in terms of the forms of Fire Emblem Engage is actually a lot better than the forms of how it does it on Three Houses for some people. Because I know for the fact that, well, let's get to the forms of the actual list before the actual game comes out in the 11 days time. Like, for instance, about the fact of the matter is though, is that, well, the character rendering is a big step up from the likes of Three Houses, which is absolutely for sure. And there's also improved environment, which is always a pleasure surprise. And also some edge smoothing is used, so which was lacking in Three Houses. Okay, that seems legitimate. And also the resolution when docked is just below 1080p, so in some cases though usually it's just around 972p or so. And Three Houses used more dynamic resolution that trends to drop much lower. And portable mode resolution slightly below native 720p or something. And also, what I've noticed is that the loading times is actually much faster than the forms of how it does it on Three Houses, which is always a pleasure surprise as well. And the game is going to be on 30 FPS for Fire Emblem Engage, so that might be sure it's nothing too surprised. Well, aside from the fact that, well, relatively speaking, I think that's as far as I can try to think about it, but I was able to try to research on something, but I seemed able to lost track, you know? But anyways though, oh yeah, speaking of certain other gaming related stuff, is that out of nowhere, that with those two kart racing games is going to be on its way during the falls of this year or something like that. First off we have is the Karters 2 Turbocharged is just recently announced for the Switch. So I don't know when that's going to be releasing though for sure, but that's only mainly because I haven't exactly looked upon that much of third-party supportive titles. Although, out of nowhere, there was actually the forms of another kart racing game that's going to be on its way, specifically until next month, which appears to be Emoji Kart Racer. Oh jeez, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Although, mind you about the fact that thankfully it's nowhere near as based off from the likes of the worst film has ever made, for the likes of in 2017, luckily. So in some cases though, yeah, Emoji Kart Racer is going to be on its way onto the Switch and during at some point until next month, so yeah, I wasn't really too surprised about that particular game is going to be releasing in during the forms of next month. Oh, and speaking of those specific releasing time-wise, is that I believe we've only got about almost 17 weeks left until The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is going to be releasing, so time flies, doesn't it? Although, mind you, about the fact of the matter is, though, well, I'm still waiting for some other titles to be launched or something like that, but either way, though, that might be some consumption as far as I'm usually concerned with that stuff, so, but I digress. And another thing I would like to mention, in terms of the forms of everything else for that resides, that it's pretty obvious about the fact that Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp no longer going to be releasing in 2022. So I highly doubt that we will get ourselves a new release date for that particular, you know, remake of those two games combined sometime this year. But we don't know when though, mainly because the problem is though, is the fact that the Ukraine and Russian war is still ongoing, and as a result though, we just have no idea when the war is about to end, but it's kinda hard to tell really, so anyway, so the next thing I want to mention is the fact that out of nowhere, that PlayStation has just recently revealed the actual accessory and during at some point in 2023 or something, or likely also the reveal of a brand new sort of like accessibility controller, which is called PlayStation's Project Leonard Accessibility Controller, which I'm not exactly sure what that does though, but either way though, that's kind of cool. Although I haven't exactly looked upon that much of PlayStation 5 related things because, well, good news though folks, is that the PlayStation 5 no longer becomes shortages anymore, so that should be a good thing, especially after almost like 3 years since the entire shortages for the sake of the forms of the PlayStation 5 stocks. So in some cases though, now is your perfect opportunity that you can now finally get the PlayStation 5, that relatively speaking it's no longer going to be shortages problems anymore after the events of during the pandemic and also just anything else to be more specific. So yeah, it should be all top notch, and especially noticeable that while I was expecting to able to try to get the PlayStation 5, but I'm still waiting for Kingdom Hearts 4 to be releasing at some point in the mid-2020s, or by the end of 2020's era of years or something, but it's kinda hard to tell, because obviously about the fact that we're still waiting for tons of stuff, so... But anyways, speaking of the forms of something related to the anniversaries department, that basically not only that we can able to actually celebrate the well, it might be a bit too early to say this right now, but relatively speaking, that at the moment, Warner Animation Group, in this case WAG for short, actually just get ourselves its 10th anniversary since in 2013, nonetheless, which I think is actually pretty swell, if I have to say so. Especially that the only time I firstly introduced to the forms of that particular Warner Animation Group company, which is whenever I looked upon the forms of, well, you know what I mean, the Lego Movie. That was the first introduction to the forms of that particular, the animation company. So as a result though, yeah, I can't believe that particular company has been out for 10 years now, which is pretty insane. Especially considering about the fact that, well, it still continues that support. Well, at least as far as I thought so anyway. So, yeah, that's actually pretty cool and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. So, anywho though, so yeah, in terms of the forms of when exactly is the Warner Brothers 100th anniversary is going to be up, well, it turns out it's going to be until the 4th of April in this year, which obviously about the fact that Warner Brothers did first appeared ever since in 4th of April for the sake of the forms of in 1923. So yeah, time flies, you know? Which I'm hoping we'll able to try to celebrate that at some point. Well, I think it's going to be at some point on Tuesday this year. Tuesday the 4th of April this year. So, at least for I've double checked on the actual calendar and stuff like that. So... But, yeah, I will have to admit though, I do apologize if my commentary is a little bit still to that point, because I get the horrible feeling that once again, although thankfully the gameplay footage works fine enough as it is, but unfortunately though, much like the forms of the past years, that every time when I was trying to able to commentate on something on my preview window, that the thing just keeps on lagged. So as a result, it's not as pleasant as it seems. But anyway, let's get ourselves the next blueprint for Donkey Kong right here. So we'll hopefully try to able to use some of those blueprints in the future, because either way though, we'll probably get able to say things more about it until whenever we get to that certain point. So, and I honestly have no idea why I just somehow come back into that particular barrel from for a moment ago. But at least we're pretty much done with that particular small room right here, featuring the forms of not only quicksand, and also anything else for that resides too, so... Oh yeah, for that dirt right there, that'll be for later, because obviously we do need that, we do need to learn that another technique for not only one of the Kongs, but also all the Kongs as well. Well, assuming if we're able to actually access them first, so... And the reason why we just somehow walk back from here to begin with is most likely because of more bananas to collect, so... Anyway, so I think we actually got enough of those banana coins as it is, for not only for Lanky Kong, but also Tiny Kong as well. So hopefully we'll try to able to spend 3 blue banana coins as Lanky Kong to perform a trombone. So in some cases though, yeah, pretty cool. And of course it does like a screen nuke, just like the forms of how it does it for Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, so... And I think, relatively speaking, we've only got about 2 instruments left until we're basically done with all these instruments and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's saying something. So, yeah, it seems pretty cool about the fact that Angry Aztec, you know, features 2 Kongs to rescue, which I think that might be actually be the only world to able to do that kind of stuff, because unlike in Jungle Japes, alongside with the next world coming up, that usually you have to rescue 1 Kong. So, anyways, let's get our instrument for, you know, Tiny Kong for its saxophone. So, yeah, do the screen nuke for that as well. And I think we've only got 1 instrument left, but that wasn't until whenever we get to the 3rd world in the game, like I said before. So, either way though, time will tell, especially concerning about the fact that, well, hopefully we'll get the actual things itself done before anything else happens, as far as I'm aware. So, anyway, so we'll go ahead and quickly switch back to Lanky Kong for a second, and I think we'll pretty much get the endings up here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong 64. That is the fact that we'll continue exploring through Angry Aztec, and hopefully trying to deal with the second boss in the game. So I'll see you guys and join on Wednesday. Later, fellas.